Welcome back to the Not Our Crib podcast. It is the man of the house, your host, Bright Knight. And how has everybody been doing? By the time I upload this video, it's probably about 2 weeks since I uploaded the last one. Why? Because I'm kind of lazy and I was kind of not feeling it. But before we get into these topics, I just wanted to say about, my reluctantness. Forget what I'm saying. No. Before we get into the topic and why it took me so long to make another video, it's just about feeling unmotivated, and that's the problem. I know everybody wants to be motivated, right, to do something, but it's all about discipline. And above everything else, discipline is what will keep you going in life. Motivation is a fleeting fire, while discipline is a burning furnace. I don't know if that's a great analogy, but it sounded good in my head, and it was just off the dome. Becoming more acquainted with being uncomfortable and doing things, becoming more adamant about getting things done even when you're not in the mood because there is a purpose behind it, really will fix the way you go about pursuing goals. Because by the time you get it done, you realize it was a lot easier than what I made it out to be, because you got comfortable in the mindset of not doing something because it's safer to just stay in place rather than move forward. And that even kind of plays a little bit into the first topic, intelligence and isolation. In my time laying in bed, not doing much, I came across a video by a channel, I believe it's called Psyops, and it was a video about isolation and intelligence. Now, I'll probably link the video in the description, but I definitely suggest you go and check it out. But essentially, the video is about intelligence and its correlation with isolation. And that happens to be a part of the fact that the smarter somebody is, the more distant they are from society. It's not intentional for them to do so, but it's because how they respond to society and how society responds to them that it affects how they interact with each other. For somebody who considers himself to be smart, I don't know everything, but I consider myself to be smart, that it is harder to be around people who do not utilize their brain thinking or think for themselves, because it just becomes frustrating to just be hit with regurgitated sheep mentality that doesn't really have any type of depth to it. Most of the things are surface level. So you kind of pursue intelligence itself for people who are like-minded and intelligent. And sometimes, depending on where you decide to put yourself, you may have an easier time or a harder time trying to find it. As opposed to the other half of the point I was making, society kind of shuns those who are intelligent. I mean, for instance, name some of the most famous people you know. Now name their accolades in terms of intelligence, or more so education, or how they convey themselves. You probably couldn't do it. Probably the first few people you thought were athletes, actors, and entertainers, rather than engineers, scientists, mathematicians, philosophers. Even philosophers, the ones that we celebrate today, were not celebrated during their time. If you remember in my last podcast, when I was talking about Kendrick Lamar and my friend being upset that people were hating on his halftime performance, I told him that you should be happy that you get to live in this moment in time, because while there are people who hate it now, it will be loved in the future. The creativity and the intelligence and how much time he has put behind his performance and what he went out there to do will be respected later on. It's respected here now because we have technology, we have people to kind of think a little bit more outside the box, but it really will be cherished later on in life once society begins to see that this is okay. And that's another thing about why we respect those philosophers of the past today. It's because society has now gotten to a place to where it is acceptable to accept their ideology. For instance, we all learned this in high school or in middle school or in kindergarten, or we all learned this in school. Galileo. If you don't remember who Galileo is, I'll just say this one thing. Heliocentric. Before it was Terracentric or Earth-centric, where the Earth was in the center of our solar system and everything revolved around it. Until Galileo found that it's not quite like that and that we revolve around the sun. That ideology and that theory, and that fact now, was so widely hated that it went against even religious doctrine and practices, to the point where they had to force him to denounce his own works because it opposed the way that they understood things for generations. And yes, it is very jarring to hear new information. So I could kind of give a little bit of, I could kind of understand where they're coming from with that. However, that in and of itself, being able to go and utilize your power to force someone to denounce what they said instead of allowing it to just kind of sit there and question it themselves. Because one of the most important things about being an intelligent person is the ability to question things that are in society. Yes, some things have been the same for so long and it's worked, but it's only worked for whatever reason. For instance, being required to have health care. I understand having insurance, is important for society, but being required to have something like health care or you will be penalized for it, does that not sound a little bit like a scam? I mean, the whole idea of insurance is a scam in and of itself. So I'm going to be paying monthly to have insurance, and then if something happens, I have to pay a deductible, even though I've been paying for my insurance for X amount of time. Does that not sound like a scam? It doesn't go into anything. I don't get a rebate. I don't get reimbursed for how much I paid and didn't have a quote. And then on top of that, insurance companies don't want to pay out. Some of them do not want to pay out. And you see how that happened. No disrespect, but you see what happens when you make algorithms to deny claims. And I'm not saying it's okay, but when the incident did occur with Luigi Mario of the Luigi Mario Bros. I don't know if I can get in trouble for saying that. But when that incident did happen, me and a few friends, we did have to have a little bit of a conversation where it was like, I don't believe that's the right way to go about things. But if we're being honest, what other option is there? You can't say we could take it to the court system. You know how that's going to go. And it's not because, it's a trend thing. It's the way the system is set up. It's rigged. And it's rigged for a reason. So, back to intelligence in isolation, many of the most intellectual people, even someone like Nikola Tesla, who wanted to create free energy, was heavily hated on and denounced. There were even times where they did shows on how electricity or Tesla coils worked. They would take his Tesla coil and they would electrocute elephants. Just to be like, do you want this in your house? Just to denounce his works and findings and his understanding of creating energy and how to make it last indefinitely and make it free, that it opposed the business structure of what these companies wanted during his time, and they went to denounce what he was doing and possibly got him up out of there. You know what I mean? But aside from the scandalous part of everything, intelligence does isolate people, and I believe, was it Schopenhauer? Is his name is Schopenhauer? Philosopher known, I believe, is a German philosopher named Schopenhauer. I believe it's Schopenhauer. Saying that intelligence is more of a curse than it is a blessing. I am very inclined to believe that because the amount of sheep mentality and stupid things that I hear, it gets on my nerves a lot. And even little things, the things that we experience in our day-to-day lives become a thing. It's not even a large, grand scale of things. It's just little things in person-to-person relationships that gets on my nerves. For instance, if we were to sit here and talk about all this dating stuff, because that's always the biggest topic, that's one of the low-hanging fruits I can pick from right now. The way people go about dating is wrong. Okay? The way people go about dating, the way people respond to conflict, the way people try to say, yeah, we love to argue all the time, but that's just love. That stuff is wrong. And when you oppose it, people are like, well, my parents did. Well, listen, that's not how in my vision, that's not how the way the world works or should work or how things should be. Because think about how crazy this is. I need to like you, but not too much so you don't get turned off, but not too little to where you don't think I don't like you. But then I also got to play the game so I don't seem desperate, but then also so I don't seem uninterested. Does that not sound like someone has a mental health issue to you? It sounds like it has a mental health issue to me. And we're trying to play the game. And as someone growing up, I always stayed away from that. I said, yeah, now I'm going to just do me and be myself instead of trying to emulate or be like everybody else. Even when it comes to status quo, which I talked about in the previous video, the idea of status quos and trying to follow it and trying to be like everybody else. It is an innate thing that humans want to do. They want to be part of a group. They want to fit in. And that's not a problem. But when you don't see outside of trying to fit in and trying to separate yourself, it becomes an issue. Or even something like trying too hard. Like I'm not gonna try to kind of harp on my performance in the last challenge I did in the last video in the last rap challenge, but I did get a review on my performance. And respect to the score that I got. The one thing that I've always been looking into more, and this was outside of the rapping, it was more of what was going on in terms of music in general. People are not liking the way music has been going. They do not like it's this corporate way of doing music, or even it's just lazy way, or everything just sounds the same. They do not like it. And I was told that I was trying too hard to emulate or simulate more of a traditional style of rapping, more of a hardcore style of rapping, more of a stigmatized version. Nothing that's like melodic and laid back, but I was trying too hard to really differentiate myself and really put forth a lot of energy and lyricism. As opposed to somebody who won, who, congratulations to them, put forth more of a melodic and more of a not trying too hard, more of a laid back. And I could be laid back, but that's not the way I go about things. If I'm going to try something, I'm going to try it to my best of my ability. And that's something that I see people moving towards more now in the future, is actually trying hard and actually trying to be good at stuff. Because people believe being nonchalant and being good at something just means you got to just be laid back and not care. To be someone who's nonchalant, or to seem like they're not trying and being great at something, they have to first be great enough to be so good at doing something that they don't look like they're trying, because they're that good at doing. Did that make any sense to what I just said? Essentially, if I just gave you a whole word sandwich, a whole word soup bowl, whatever I just said, essentially, somebody is so good at doing something to the point it looks like they're not trying. Not that they're not trying and being good at it. That doesn't even make sense. You gotta be so good that it looks like you're not trying. All in all, for the first part of this, in isolation and intelligence, I encourage that everybody go out and seek more intelligence. Education is definitely important, but begin to question the things that are around you. Stop sticking to the status quo. Stop trying to be accepted by everybody, because the way I see it, if everybody loves me, there's a problem here, okay? I do want to be not admired or loved, but respected, but also wouldn't be afraid of any type of challenges. And being able to challenge the things that are normal, or to be able to think outside of the box, you get out of those echo chambers, is very important. And I want to see more of that, because my fear is getting smarter and then seeing even more dumb people. I hate it so much. If you know me, you know I hate stupidity so much. I'm not saying people who don't know stuff. I'm saying things that are just blatantly ignorant and dumb. I hate it so much. Or that no one really questions. And it's always met with a negative energy when you call those things out. You're speaking against those things, and they begin to fight it, because they will, even though they may know it's wrong, they'll still try to advocate for it. Oh, I got another example. Back when we had to get them shots during the sickly seasons, I don't know if I can still say it on YouTube, but you know what I mean. You know, you have to sign a paper before you receive the shot. And I asked, so if I don't sign it, I don't get the shot? And I was told yes. So if this is supposed to protect me, why am I signing something that absolves you from liability if it doesn't work the way it's intended to? And then if it doesn't work the way it's intended to, I can't go out and sue you because I said I couldn't do it on paper. Why don't you stand behind? Like, you see how these things work? Oh my goodness, there's so much to this stuff. But essentially, you guys get the idea. Isolation and intelligence don't coincide, but there is a reason as to why some people may feel isolated. And it's not outwardly, but sometimes it may feel inwardly. When you start to think deeply and realize that you wake up to, or you break out of the matrix, or you wake up to the way the world really is, you start to begin to feel like, dang, I kind of feel like I'm the only one, like I'm the real main character here, and everything's just a bunch of bots around me. So, with that being said, seek intelligence, please, for my sake, for your sake, for everyone's sake. Seek intelligence. And in today's climate of life, today, with like when it comes to like politics, when it comes to economics, please go out and seek those things, because at the end of the day, you're gonna only have yourself. And if you keep buying into the lies that's being portrayed out here, you're only gonna get screwed over. And I'm not getting screwed over. Not I. Not I. Speaking against the status quo, or what is just known as right or what is okay, I was thinking back to when I worked my previous job, the job that I talked about that I will never, that job should be shut down. But my previous job where I was working as a technician, and there was an incident where they tried to gaslight me into believing that I did something wrong, which at the time I thought I may have done a little something wrong, but the whole time I did my job. But because they like to change policies to cover their behinds, I know that car ain't just beep in the middle of my video. Anyways, I remember explaining to OG, and listen, I'm sorry, but talking to older folks, most older people, not all older people, it is a challenge. You can't tell them nothing. And they always assume they know everything. I'm sorry. I know they say the same thing about younger people, but they always think they know everything, or the way they went about things is still the same way now. So we're talking about the things that I was going through at my job and the incident that had happened. And I told them, at least I could have potentially saved somebody's life, because if something would have went wrong while working at that meter and it blew up, that house would have been gone, would have been sky high. You know what I mean? And they were like, yeah, you're right and everything, but that's not what you get paid to do. And what irks my nerves is because I'm trying to be respectful and not have to talk down on these old folks, okay? But they're giving, some good advice like, hey, I'm a supervisor. I didn't pay you to do what you did, but you got fired for doing something, blah blah blah. And I get it. I get it, right? But my life isn't my damn job, okay? My life isn't my job. And I get some people say, well, you got to bend your life around your job. No, my life bends around me. Pause. Hell no. Pause. My life bends around. Listen, my life does not revolve around my job, okay? I don't care what nobody says, especially with the way these jobs treat people and why they say Gen Z is hardest to hire because they're always late, which is a problem in and of itself. I shouldn't be talking, but that's only different circumstances. But being late and then not being lazy and this and that, whatever happens to be what it is with these jobs, it's not okay. But even then, these jobs do throw away people all willy-nilly. And more on that in a second. Again, my life does not revolve around this job, okay? It's the other way around. So to me, as a person with a conscience, if I see wrong, I'm going to call out wrong. And if I can do right, I'm going to do right. So if I saw that there could be a potential threat that could endanger this person, even though it may not be my job and what I'm being paid to do, it may not be my problem, but I made it that. And even the OG said, and I hate to say it, it's not your problem, and I hate to say that, but the issue is, pay attention, the issue is when you have that type of mentality to kind of bypass or look past something because it doesn't get you any more money, that's where you sacrifice your own integrity in order to get some money. And I often have these internal conflicts where I think about, I'm a smaller creator. What if I get offered a sponsorship to promote something that I don't necessarily do or agree with, or that I don't like? What if I get a sponsorship to promote something like, for instance, let's say gambling? I don't personally gamble, at least not right now. But I don't personally gamble. But if I didn't agree with gambling, and I don't have any sponsorships, and they're gonna pay me some money, like, do I promote it? Do I not promote it? If I promote it and I don't agree with it, that means I will give up my own integrity in order to get some money. If I deny it, then that means I, even through, and leave it up to chance that I find something better, even through whatever price tag they're handing over, whatever money, whatever monetary value they're going to hand over to me, I'm willing to hold on to my morals over the money. And that's what the important thing is, to not really sell yourself short when it comes to your morals in order to get some paper. And I even left jobs for jobs that paid less, but with the idea that I would find a job that gave me more peace of mind. And some people can't do that. They feel handicapped. And I get it. There's a lot of financial situations people are in. So that way they're not really willing to go out and leave a job because they can't afford it. They can't afford to just up and leave. And that's an issue in terms of the society that we're in. But building a safety net for yourself So that way you have the ability, thank God for my mom, so being able to just dip out of jobs that I don't like because this is causing me physical stress, and that I need to find something that's going to relieve that so I don't, die. Excuse me. So I don't unalive my body, not myself, but my body begins to shut down on me. But more on the whole idea of I don't get paid to do it. Regardless if I don't get paid to do it or not, it's still going to get done. I see wrong, I call out wrong, I'm going to do right. And because I don't get paid and trying to push that mentality on me, or trying to teach them that as a lesson that, hey, I understand that you try to do right, but you don't get paid. Shut that shit up. I don't mean to get rude, but like that still irks my nerves to this day. That was months ago, but still, quiet that. Hush. I don't care if I don't get paid for it. Because if it were you in that situation, you would have loved for someone to go out of their way. They stick their neck out to save you, regardless of payment. That's what separates an actual hero versus a contracted savior of whatever you want to call it. Utilize, I guess we'll make a overall message or lesson. Utilize your life and your situations and your circumstances to look into those things where you start to question how things are done, to where you can go above and beyond, and not for the sake of getting more money out of it, but you can go out and attack those things that kind of keep you from expanding upon your morality. I get it. If I speak up now, I might lose my job. But do I really want to have to sit and play small? Like, I've even had recent issues in life where, well, you gotta play the game. This game is rigged. This game is a whole lot of dog shit. Oh my goodness, let me stop cursing. This game is rigged, or this game's a whole lot of hogwash, right? You want me to stick my neck out for somebody who's trying to undermine me. You're wanting me to extend the olive branch to someone who keeps trying to chop it down. You gotta rework this, because we can't allow this to stand. And that's the reason why it keeps being perpetuated, and it keeps continuing and continuing from generation to generation to come, because they tried to play the game. Sometimes you gotta break the game. The game gotta go. Do what's right and not do what pays you, okay? Do what is right for you, not do what is paid to you. Alright, lesson for this segment. That being said, that is a few of today's topics that I managed to put together. I just needed to get back into doing this again, because I don't know if it was the weather. It's been raining a lot. It's been gloomy a little bit, and it's kind of been killing the drive to do things. I know I want to do more moving forward, and we'll get there. We will get there. So, again, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and comment. We made it in the comment section. Let's put something out there. Comment, we made it in the comment section down below. And until next time, thank you guys so much.